Sometimes we're so close to the thing, and that's what creates emotional turmoil, or, a big event happens and we go straight into fight flight. We're not able to actually process the emotion, and that's how the trauma gets stuck in our system. And so that process enabled me to fully process that trauma such that I could think about it and I wasn't triggered anymore. And so I remember cussing at him. I'm like, what the bleep did you do to me? And can we keep going? And so
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I am with Stephanie Kwong, and Stephanie is the co-founder of the Rapid Rewire Method. And I am not going to explain to you what that is because I can't at this moment, but we're going to learn more about it. But I wanted to let you guys know the reason why I'm really excited to have Stephanie on here is, first of all, because another guest recommended Stephanie because of the work that she does and how powerful she is. And through this unusual time that we're in and this spiritual shift that we're going through, for all of the years that I've been doing the work with the Akashic Masters, which is going on 25 years, they are always talking about letting go of our trauma, our belief systems. And the way that my guides always describe it is basically emptying the mind. We're simplifying the mind. And a lot of people, they hear these words and then they'll come back and they'll say to me, but how do we do that? And so Stephanie is a resource in learning how to do that. And so what will happen once you start letting go of the traumas and the belief systems, the conditioning and the programming, and all of the stuff that causes us anxiety, fear, all of these things that hold us limited, you're going to start finding that your channels of communication will start opening up. You're going to be more connected to the universe. You're going to see yourself more as a being of love. That's the objective. So, Stephanie, welcome. And thank you for being here. And I'm excited to learn more about what you do.
Oh, I appreciate you so much, Lisa. I'm excited for this conversation, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Okay. So, Stephanie, let's talk a little bit about let's just talk really quickly, because we're going to go into a lot more detail, but what is the Rapid Rewire Method and what does it address? What does it do? And then we're going to jump into your story and how this evolved for you.
Yeah. So the Rapid Rewire Method, it's a system of tools, transformational tools that work in a proven framework. Literally, it's in a script. So if you can follow a script, you can create transformation. But it's protocols that work with the mind, the emotions, and the body. So it's very integrative. And what you can work on with these tools is to dissolve and integrate any sort of problems, inner blocks or barriers, limiting beliefs, stuck identities that maybe are getting in the way of what you actually want, and then also trauma. And these tools are extraordinarily effective. They work majority of the time in about 60 minutes or less. So I feel like, the world is a little bit on fire right now. People are struggling. They're suffering. There's a lot of pain. And folks need, tools that can work quickly, integratively, and sustainably. Yeah. They don't have time to sit on a couch talking about their problems for months or years, hoping that something will change, or, constantly meditating daily or doing affirmations daily. They need something that works. And so that's what I found these tools to be, is extraordinarily effective and swift and usually quite permanent.
Yeah. And swift is a big word. That's we as being from the Western civilization and want instant gratification.
And Asians want it even 10 times more than that, let me tell you.
Well, we are, it's like we don't want to take the time. It's uncomfortable. It's hard to have to go through a process, like you said. Okay, well, I'm having fear or anxiety about walking outside of my house. And because of something that happened to me as a child, maybe I was attacked by a dog or something. This is just what's coming to me. And being able to go do the traditional methods of helping to heal that wound can take quite a while. And so these new methods, these ways of doing things that are a little bit different than the traditional ways of psychology, psychiatry, that type of thing, is really why I want to talk to you, because I want people to know that there's alternatives. It's, there's other things that are going hand in hand with traditional therapies that can help speed up the process and help us clear out what we don't need anymore. So tell me a little bit about how in the world did this even happen for you? What brought you to this point?
Yeah, it was, to me, a truly divine hand that was happening for all this to come to be, because I had started working as a coach back in 2007. So I was coaching before it was even very popular. And as I mentioned before, as Asians, we love speed, right? I know you talked about as a society, we like swiftness, but in my culture, effectiveness and speed is extraordinarily embedded into our DNA. And so I was always looking for tools to really help me be as effective as I could with my clients. And so I'm trained in NLP, hypnosis, somatic experiencing, trauma release, havening, strategic interventions, EFT, a ton of different modalities, breath work, all the things, and got really good at what I was doing, to the point where I was working with really high profile people, like the top 1%. I got referred to somebody, did really good for them, and then they just opened up their Rolodex to me, if even people know what Rolodexes are anymore, but their contacts, and essentially started placing these really high level people on my calendar because of how effective and fast I was. And yet in February of 2021, I actually had a miscarriage. It's the biggest adult trauma I'd say I've had, because at the time I really wanted to be a mom as well. So when I got pregnant without trying with my partner, I was like, oh, here it is. And I was a little bit older in life. I was like, I'm meant to be a mom. And for 9 blissful weeks, I was pregnant. And then at 9.5 weeks, I lost the baby. And I went super dark. And to the point where literally I was fantasizing about hitting the eject button off the planet. It was very, very difficult. I was having a hard time functioning. Everything around me was triggering. Everyone was announcing they were pregnant in 2021. And if I saw anything baby related, I would just lose it. And I was quite inconsolable. And so 5 months of enduring that and trying to use my tools, reaching out to friends who were, some well-known coaches, healers, etc. I wasn't able to even shave the edge off of the grief that I was experiencing. And I finally went to my medical doctor and was bawling my eyes out, but I was trying to figure out, how do I make my body more optimized to try to get pregnant again? And I was crying, and he pointed at my face and he goes, "Is someone helping you with that?" And I said, "I've been looking for somebody, but haven't found anyone yet." And he's like, "I got a guy." And so he connected me with my now co-founder, Wesley, who in one 60-minute session, he ran a trauma integration on me. And within probably 30 minutes of that 60-minute session, by that point in time, he had me check. And I went, I couldn't even feel sadness or grief. And I started trying to access it. I'd think about the miscarriage, all the worst parts of the experience, and yet I felt nothing. And so that actually had me de-identify from the problem, right? Sometimes we're so close to the thing, and that's what creates emotional turmoil, or, a big event happens and we go straight into fight flight. We're not able to actually process the emotion, and that's how the trauma gets stuck in our system. And so that process enabled me to fully process that trauma such that I could think about it and I wasn't triggered anymore. And so I remember cussing at him. I'm like, "What the bleep did you do to me? And can we keep going?" And so we kept working together. And then I started learning the tools, which are not hard to learn too. That's what I think is also important in this day and age, is simplicity versus complexity, but simplicity and effectiveness. And then I heard divine command 8 weeks into us working consistently. I heard, "You are meant to bring these tools into the world." Mm-hmm. And so we joined forces. We launched the Rapid Rewire Method, and we've been training people ever since, really empowering them with these tools that I was so deeply impacted by. And now we're empowering others to be able to have really the power to liberate themselves or someone else anytime, anywhere, with pretty much anything that they're struggling with.
Okay, so I'm intrigued.
Okay.
For me. So let's explain a little bit more about like the process. So we can kind of have a little idea of, you came into the situation, you said, I recognize that this is what my problem is, and this is what I want healed. Okay, so that's one thing. Is what happens if people don't really recognize that there's something that's like, I feel like I have this deep sadness, but I haven't been able to figure out what it's tied to. Can it work that way as well?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a little bit more complicated way of going through it. I think most of the times people know, right? But it could be a whole host of circumstances that are creating that emotion that's stuck within them. And then what we do is we would just clean it up layer by layer. If it's just an emotion that someone's like, oh, I just keep feeling the sadness, I don't know why, then there are ways that we can reverse engineer that. But if someone wanted to go through the process, the neat part is we just need to know what is the context, right? What is the issue? Most people can identify it though, Lisa. I would say maybe 5% or less come not knowing, but most people go, this is what's going on, and then this is how it makes me feel. This is the emotional reaction. And that's all we need to know, and we drop straight into process. So what makes us different as well is we don't need to go into all the history. I don't need to know when was the first time you felt this, or what happened to you when you were a child, or what did your mom and dad do. It's literally about what's the issue right now, how is it impacting you now? And then we clean it up in the now, because actually a memory is a now event, right? We can't recreate exactly how we felt back then, but we can clear how it's currently impacting us now. And when we clean it up now, we clean it up on all timelines, right? In the past, as well as we won't recreate this in the future. So really that's all we need to dive into the process. And with each process, they're all unique. We teach about 30 tools. So it really depends on, your ability to process. So we usually start people on simple ones to see how they do with it, and then we can go more advanced. But really, we have tools for personal growth, for, quite honestly, spiritual awakening, and for human potential, like expansion. There's a whole different tools for that, because we do have tools that can take people into that non-dual state without needing to drink ayahuasca or lick a frog, and you can get there and be able to reflect back on your problem, which then usually when you're in that de-identified state, you look back and you're like, it's actually not an issue at all. Yeah. So that's a little bit about how these tools work.
Okay, so give me an example of something that's pretty common that comes up that you deal with. Can you give me some kind of an example and how it's treated?
Sure. So I don't work with people anymore. I, run a company and we train people in these tools. But as an example, there's a women's organization here in Colorado, and they're bringing me in to do a session with women, female entrepreneurs who struggle with being seen on social media or just publicly, right? And yet, as an entrepreneur, if you are a personal brand, well, guess what? You got to put yourself out there. And so people don't, and then they wonder why their business isn't working. Well, it's because people don't know you exist. And so there's a lot of fear around that for people. Whatever happened in their childhood that has them feel like they don't want to show their faces, or they're imposters, or they're not smart enough, good enough, etc. And so I would essentially take that topic, struggle to be seen. Okay, for you, when you put your attention on putting yourself out there, hitting that record button or hitting publish, what's the emotional response that comes up for you? And for some people, it could be fear, others insecurity, unworthiness, fill in the blank. Everyone's going to have a different emotion. They're pretty common ones, but they might have their own flavor of it. And then we just take the emotion and we dive into a process. So it really depends on, like, the one I'm probably going to do is a tool where it's a journaling prompt where you write about how does this problem impact you now? And then what that's doing is bringing conscious content to the surface. And then we do a whole reflection process where they start to clear it through their mind, their emotions, and their body. And then we just keep rinsing and repeating through that process. And eventually people start to shift into positive content. And they're like, wait, that's weird, because how I used to feel about it is fear, insecurity, whatever emotion I named. And now their content is going to, I can do this. It's not that scary. I'm excited to put myself out there. And that's because the processing has occurred. And now they're able to access a whole other side to their problem that they weren't able to before. Before they were stuck here, right, in this emotional state. Now they can access joy, excitement, calm, neutrality around putting themselves out there. So that's what the processes do. And really our work is about integration. So it's not like, hey, I don't want to ever feel fear again. And I actually don't love that word fearless, because I'm like, actually fear is good in certain contexts because it could save your life, right? If you're standing on the edge of a building and you feel the fear, you don't want to jump, and other people, if they're not careful, it could be catastrophic.
Yeah.
But our work is about, hey, you're stuck here in this emotion, which is preventing you from living the life that you want, achieving the things that you want, feeling the way that you want. And then as we take them through a specific process, depending on their specific problem, by the end, they're like, whoa, I can feel other emotions, which liberates them from where they were stuck. And what integration is like, hey, you know what? Now you're free to choose. If you want to feel that fear again, you can. But now if you want to access confidence, excitement, joy, you can do that now as well. And so it really gives people the freedom to choose instead of villainizing one thing and animating another, because that's actually what creates our problems in the first place, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's good or bad.
Yes.
That where instead of understanding that it's just an experience, we as humans have labeled, if it's fun, it's good. If it's not so fun, it's bad.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm kind of digging into this because I just want to try to make sure that we all understand exactly this process. So if I come to you and I'm afraid to put myself out there to the universe, to everybody see me, because there is something to this. And for you people that don't know, when you're putting yourself out there, there's also some people that really like to show criticism. And it's challenging to have to take that criticism. And I've had to deal with it. I mean, it's like I've got to the point where I'm done. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm just here trying to love everybody and be happy.
But there are trolls, Lisa. We know that.
Yeah. So, but it's a real thing, like you said, for people that are in business, and also you guys that are watching. This is just an example, because there's so many other things, that are tied into this, but we're just using this as the example. So if I come to you and I tell you, I'm starting my own business, but I'm really hesitant and putting myself out there because of the possible criticism and mean remarks that are said, and I don't know if I can take that. Are you going to take me through the process of what's happening right now in the present moment? Or are you going to take me all the way back to what started it as a child?
No.
So explain how that works.
So here's the thing is, it's interesting because I had a mentor tell me one time, she's like, Stephanie, you don't always need to know why the trash stinks to know you want to throw it out. Just throw it out. And I think there's this, maybe what we're indoctrinated into is we have to search back to find the genesis of where this started in order to resolve it. And in our work, it's like, okay, then you figure out when you were 5 years old, your mom told you were ugly when she was trying to take a picture, and now you decided, I can't put my face in front of a camera. I'm just coming back to that example, right, of putting yourself out there. Yeah. Or maybe let's come to your example. Maybe you were in a performance and then someone in your class was like, you're dumb and ugly. And then now you're like, I don't want people to judge or criticize me, so I'm just going to hide out. I'll be invisible or small. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, maybe you knew that happened at 5, but the knowledge of knowing that happened then doesn't actually change the automatic trigger that comes up that holds you back when you want to go, put yourself out there, right? Mm-hmm. So our work, again, isn't about needing to search for it, it might come up in the process. What happened? But what we're processing is, how does that impact you right now? It doesn't matter back then, but how right now, when you're about to hit publish or record, what's the emotional reaction that comes up? And as I mentioned, people might have things like, I feel afraid, or I don't want to be rejected. Okay, that's probably a fear thing too. Or I feel insecure. I feel ugly. That could be the insecurity thing. We need a specific emotion. And then what we do is we process the emotion. So if you're feeling, I don't know, insecure about putting yourself out there, well, then we would go, okay, let's take that insecurity and dive into one of our tools. Now, again, we have so many, Lisa, so I wish I could tell you specifically, but it also depends on the person, how well we're seeing they could potentially process, and what's the actual issue for them. So as a coach, whoever's training our tools, you'll kind of know how to assess that. But let's say for you, this was the issue you brought. And okay, Lisa, for you, when someone writes a mean comment, let's say this gets published and people are like, you ladies are dumb, or whatever it is, right? They make some stupid comment. They haven't even watched it. They just go on there to be cool.
Yeah. And that is a thing, by the way.
Girl, I know. Trust me. We have ads and people are like, you're fucking stupid. And you're like, sorry. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Or this is snake oil or what. I'm like, you have no idea what it is. And you're just judging and being mean, but it's out there. So is this something that bothers you right now?
It probably, I think I've worked through a lot of it, but okay. I think that there's still times when it gives me a knot in my stomach and makes me feel heavy.
Okay.
For sure.
So let's go ahead and think about it right now. When was the last time someone had a negative comment?
This morning.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to dive right in with you. Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do a very simple one. So it's not so close your eyes. And I want you just to think about that comment that someone wrote this morning. And when you put your attention to it, what's the emotional reaction that comes up for you? How do you feel?
The emotional is that it's like it closes up my throat, and it makes my chest really tight.
Mm-hmm. And if you were to name what's that emotion that's causing those physical sensations, what would the name of that emotion be?
Failure.
Okay, so that's not actually an emotion,
but
yeah, it's okay. So through our work too, we actually do a little bit of emotional retraining or teaching.
Okay.
But would it be something in the realm of hurt, frustrated, resentful, infuriated, hurt?
Yeah, I think hurt would be a good one.
Okay, great. So that's an emotion. So go ahead and close your eyes, and I want you just to put your attention to that rejection, what that person wrote. Let the hurt come up, and when it's there, just give me a nod of your head. Great. So feel that hurt, Lisa, and tell me something bad about the hurt. The emotion. What's bad about it?
Okay, so I'm not sure this is what you're asking, but what I'm wanting to say is that it makes me feel like I failed, that I didn't do good enough, that I should have done better.
Yep, thank you. And actually, hold on, let me rewind. Close your eyes and feel that hurt right now. How intense is it on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 is it doesn't bother you at all, and 10 is it's debilitating, cannot function.
It's probably about a 7.
Okay, wow. So it's bigger than we thought. Mm-hmm. So with the 7, and how do you want to feel instead? So people are going to make comments. You know that. We can't control other people's behavior, but we can control how we feel. So let's say the next time someone makes a snarky comment, how do you want to feel instead of hurt?
Forgiving. Meaning I want to have understanding of where that person is coming from and the motivation behind what they're saying.
Okay. So forgiveness, acceptance, something like that?
Yeah, something like
great.
that.
So keep your eyes closed. And I'm just going to do a couple minutes. We'll see what happens, okay? But this is one of our most simple tools. But feel that hurt, Lisa. Let me know when you're back there again, when you're actually experiencing it. Just nod your head. Perfect. And keep your eyes closed through this whole process. But feel that hurt and tell me, again, something bad about the hurt. What's bad about the emotion?
It takes me back to being the child and being criticized by my mother.
Thank you. Good work. Exactly. You're on the right path. So feel that hurt and tell me something good about the hurt.
Well, help me to realize that there's an issue.
Yeah, that's what it does. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Keep your eyes closed. Feel that hurt. Tell me something else that's bad about the hurt.
It makes me want to quit.
Thank you. Excellent. And feeling that hurt, tell me something else that's good about the hurt.
It makes me want to fight.
Thank you. Feel that hurt and tell me something bad about it.
It makes me lose my voice.
Thank you. Feel that hurt and tell me something positive about it.
It takes me into my heart to want to feel and to see that somebody that would make a comment like that they're not feeling their heart the same way that I feel mine, and to have forgiveness and understanding for who that person is and what they're experiencing.
Thank you. Feel that hurt and tell me something else that's bad about it. And you're doing great, by the way. What else is bad about that hurt, that emotion?
It makes me mad at everything and everyone.
Thank you. Still feeling that hurt. Tell me something else that's good about it.
It makes me want to have more compassion.
Thank you. Feel that hurt. Tell me something else that's bad about it.
It makes my body contract.
Thank you. Feel that hurt and tell me something good about it.
It makes me want to fight back.
Thank you. Feel that hurt and tell me something bad about it.
It makes me feel small.
Thank you. Feel that hurt and tell me something good about it that you haven't already said.
I can't remember what I said, but it makes me want to fight back. Again, I think I've said that before,
Yeah.
but it's like it's the thing about bringing the voice forward and wanting to be able to use my voice in a way that I've been suppressed from in the past.
Thank you. Feel that hurt and tell me something bad about it.
I just keep going back to my throat, my voice, and not wanting to speak.
Thank you. Feel that hurt and tell me something else that's good about it. Let's see if there's anything else there. Is there anything else good?
I'm just seeing myself cough up words.
Okay. Feel that hurt and tell me, is there anything else that's bad about it?
I'm getting no.
Good. Deep breath in and out, Lisa.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Deep breath in and out. Good. And I want you to tune back into the hurt. What's happened to it?
I don't feel it as much in my throat.
And so scale of 1 to 10, where are we at?
Probably about a 3.
Yeah. What's left in the 3?
I'm filling my brain, stories in my mind.
Okay. But you notice that was 4 minutes. Okay, you can open up your eyes. You went from a 7 to a 3.
Yeah.
7 for some people is, I'm going to be thinking about it all day long. Oh my gosh, I'm going to tell people now about the negative comment. I might not want it, right? It holds you back. But at a 3, you might be like, okay, but you can still take the action. Yeah. And I think if we kept going, there's more I would do to shave off the 3. You'd be like, oh, I'm at a 0. I don't even care anymore. Yeah. Somebody posts something negative. I just feel compassion for them, but I'm going to keep my mission moving forward and no one's going to stop me, even negative comments. So you just got a little sample, but you see how simple it is. A lot of our tools, again, that's the most simple one. We have more advanced tools like our trauma integration. And we're actually doing a study right now with Northwestern University and the University of Tennessee, validating our trauma integration tool with firefighters. That's the population we're working with. So we're getting a lot of data now to also show the efficacy of this work. But yeah, in 4 or 5 minutes, you went from a 7 to a 3.
Yeah. And I do feel different. It's really interesting because and I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Yeah. You guys are getting it all flat out here. So new podcast, we're recording on a Monday. Every Monday, new podcasts come up. And the comment was that the host hijacked the person that was speaking their story. So basically they said that I hijacked my guest's story. And that hit me hard. It's right now, see, it's bringing up tears in my eyes because I immediately feel like, did I do that to my guest?
Mm.
And on some level, I know that I didn't. I know that that's that person's perception, but that's what I felt immediately, that I just need to be quiet. I don't need to share my voice. I don't need to have an interactive conversation. I just need to sit here and shut up.
Mm.
And and honestly, I don't even remember the full conversation because it's been a month ago since we recorded it, and so I don't really know all of it that was happening. But I also could see immediately, going back to that child and my mother telling me, you don't need to speak. Don't say that. You shouldn't have said that. You should have said something different.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to that. So I can see how it triggered me into this place of not being good enough, or not saying the right thing, saying something wrong.
Yeah.
So, and again, I think that it's important for people to understand this, because we don't have to feel this way. We don't have to feel like I'm feeling. We don't have to let other people's actions sabotage our happiness and joy. And that's why I think it's important for you to do the work that you're doing, because I think it's important for us to recognize, wait a minute, I don't have to feel this way. I don't have to feel bad if somebody says something bad about me.
Right. And now that I know that information, I probably would have gotten more specific with you around you speaking up and using your voice and what that means for you, right? Because we just went to a general, like, if you get a mean comment, because there's a deeper cut here for you around what specifically that person said. And Lisa, you're absolutely right. Like, I think we sometimes hold on to these emotions thinking that this is how it has to be.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to anymore. With my miscarriage, I was stuck in grief. And it's obviously, yes, it's normal. I want to experience grief. But the problem is when I get stuck in it. Same thing for putting yourself out there, right? It's normal probably to feel a little bit of fear or, nervousness. But when you're so stuck in fear that it prevents you from taking the action, that's when that fear becomes a problem. Mm-hmm. So we don't ever say these emotions are good, bad, right, or wrong. We want to be able to move fluidly through them. But I think for most people, because of what happened to us in the past, it created a certain emotion that never got processed in us. So every time that same scenario comes up, boom, that same emotion arises.
Yeah.
But when we integrate it, when we fully take the time to process that emotion around that experience, then now it no longer has a hold on us. As I mentioned before, can we still access that? Yeah. But now we have the ability to access something else. And that is true liberation and sovereignty, because now you can choose between the two instead of getting stuck in an emotion that's disempowering you or disabling you to live the life in the way that you want.
Yeah. And I think that you hit on something when you were talking about processing emotions. And a lot of people, I never learned how to process my emotions because I wasn't allowed to have any emotions.
Same.
Yeah. And it's a way, it's a way that a lot of time, I mean, this is just how kids, parents raise their kids the way that they were raised. And from my generation, if I was crying about something because I was feeling something, mom would say, you better not, you need to stop crying or I'm going to give you something to cry about, that kind of way of being, to where we don't know how to process these emotions because we were never taught as children how to process through them. And so when somebody said something, the kid on the playground said, you're ugly, then I don't know how to process as a 7-year-old, what does that mean, except for that it hurt my feelings. Mm-hmm. And so I think that this is really important for us to be able to learn how to process through these things that we were never taught, because we have to stay stoic, or, we're never taught to really communicate our feelings. And this is something that, that we've been dealing with for quite some time, and how it affects people. Like, now they're talking about mental health so much, and about not being able to express men. You're supposed to be the stoic, tough guy, and you can't ever shed a tear or show that emotion because something would be wrong with you if you did.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think that it's really important for you to share the information that you're sharing. But the other thing that I am curious about is, what are common emotional loops that you find? What are things that come up quite a bit?
Yeah, I mean, the common ones, I think like the core wounds for a lot of people is unlovable, unworthy, not enough, insecure. So that would probably be not enough. Fear is a big one. And quite honestly, anger and worry and anxiousness. Those are probably ones that when people label how they're feeling, those are the most common ones that people can come up with. And when, again, you can process through them, it's key. And I just wanted to actually share that, like, come back to what you said about how kids, we never learn to process. And if we look at generationally too, our parents never learned that. So how
Right.
could they teach us
Right.
and more? But it's so important. And what's neat is I'm seeing so many like folks that come through our trainings, they have kids and they're like bringing their kids into their world. There's one student that we have right now where her son she has two fraternal twins. They're 11. And the son was really upset about something. And she's like, I know I couldn't process him. So she processed herself
Oh,
in front of him. She modeled it. She used one of our tools, did it. And she said her daughter at the end of it, like, went, whoa. And her son, she saw his body completely exhale. And so there's a lot of importance around modeling that, we never got, that if a parent was able to show you that, you're like, oh, that's how you feel it or do it. And then what was neat is she shared that 3 weeks later, she was frustrated about something. And her son goes, Mom, can I process you? And as an 11-year-old, because our tools are easy, he like literally step by stepped her and it helped her. And so, what a blessed, those kids are so fortunate that their mom is taking first modeling it. And then now they're learning tools to help themselves or help others. What is going to be, how our next generation is going to look like when now they have more emotional literacy, they have more almost permission to feel. It's encouraged more and more now because of the mental health crisis, and they're going to have access to more tools to actually process effectively so that they don't have to carry this baggage of misperceptions, right? Because a lot of times too, as a kid, someone does something and you make up a weird story about yourself and a negative emotion when it might not even be true.
mm-hmm.
My fiance told me, I took him through a process and he struggled with feeling valuable. And he realized that there was a time when he was 5 years old and he was outside a church and his parents forgot to pick him up. And he decided in that moment, that he wasn't valuable enough to be remembered or picked up. That's not true. His mom literally just spaced out. But as a kid, that got locked into his mind and his nervous system.
Yeah.
And then he carries it as an adult until he finally faces it and goes, oh, let me clean that up because that's not true. And I don't have to hold that belief anymore, which is impacting me in all these other areas of my life, making me less effective than I want to be,
Mm-hmm.
less self-expressed, less empowered, less free. And so that's, I think the beautiful thing is, it's becoming more common now for people to deal with their emotions and have pathways like what you're doing, sharing so many different alternatives for people to explore so that they could see what works for them.
Yeah. And I think that you really hit on something that I want people to hear what you said about when we're children, we don't really know. I mean, it's like we don't know how, all we know is what we know as a 7, 8 year old, 10-year-old. We don't really understand that maybe mom's late picking you up because she had to work late. Something, we don't get that side of the story. We just sit there and create this story in our mind. And again, I can say that because I did it. I've done it. I did it as a child.
Yeah.
And parents get divorced. Well, why are they getting divorced? It's all my
Me, my
fault.
fault.
It's
Mm-hmm.
my fault. No, it's not. It didn't have anything to do with you. They probably stayed
Yeah.
together longer because of you than they should have.
Yeah.
But we do, and we grow up with these stories and these belief systems that are holding us back. And so, but when you were talking, what I was hearing, and I thought it's really important, is that, because this was your fiance that had that experience, by being able to recognize how to process through these things, how does it help your relationship?
Oh my gosh. We both value growth. It's one of our top 5 values. So it's enabled us to be even more vulnerable with each other, develop more intimacy, be more truthful, because a big thing for a lot of people too. I don't want to use my voice because it means something negative about me, right? Or something bad is going to happen if I do. It's a big issue for people. And it's actually helped us so much to deepen, because one of the guidelines we have in our, when we are doing any sort of conflict management, is we both have an agreement that we have to be regulated to have the conversation. So if one of us is feeling angry or hurt or frustrated or any other negative emotion at a high level, we use these tools, the rapid rewire tools. He goes and self-processes. He's actually quite calm. It's probably more me that I need to do it. But then I need to go process myself and get myself right. And then when we both are in a regulated state, then we talk about it. So it doesn't turn into a blow up fight, a misunderstanding. We say things that we don't mean, that we can't take back later because the injury has been there from using our words and weaponizing them on each other. We don't do that. And that's really helped us a lot to stay regulated. And it's helped our relationship with, the kiddos. Mm-hmm. My stepkids, they don't see us fighting, and they see us working through stuff. They see us processing, and that modeling for them. And now they get to grow up in a house where there's not a lot of conflict, that then now they make up negative stories about themselves of what that means when they see conflict, right? Or how that impacts them. Mm-hmm. So essentially it's like shifting the narrative for us, because that's not how I grew up, quite honestly. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a house that was a lot of loudness, and it was whoever was the loudest one. It wasn't even about who was right or wrong. It was whoever could outshout the other person. And I was the baby. So I had my voice silenced quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so I think speaking up was difficult. And because of this work, I speak up more, and so does he. Mm-hmm. So that now our communication has gotten even stronger, because we're not doing any withholds. Mm-hmm. But that comes from our ability to process ourselves and stay emotionally clean when we interact with each other.
So, okay, so we're talking right now, we're talking about relationships, a romantic relationship, but how do we apply this to our everyday life? And how can, like work situations, friendships, different things that, maybe the other person isn't going to process through their stuff, but how do I use it on myself so that I don't go down a rabbit hole and create some crazy story?
Yeah, I mean, I really believe our work, and from what you've shared with your guides telling you, it's how do we become more free? How do we become less attached to these emotions, these negative beliefs, these stories? How do we clear the mind truly, right? Of these limitations, of these lies. And so when we start to do the deep inner work for ourselves, we actually become more clean from the triggers that were installed when we were younger, mm-hmm. right? And when we're able to do that and free ourselves of these coping identities that keep us stuck, or to protect ourselves, we now open ourselves up to relate to the world in a whole different way. And we start to know ourselves more, such that if someone comes at us, criticizes us, judges us, misunderstands us, and says anything, we're so solid in who we are because we've done the work, that we almost become impenetrable to other people's stuff, because all they're doing anyway is projecting all their junk onto you. Mm-hmm. But if you get activated, that means that there's something in you that hasn't been fully healed. It has nothing to do with them, it's within you. And so it enables you to navigate life without being triggered, without needing to protect yourselves or do these weird behaviors in order to feel safe and protected. And we can interact with other people, with our partners, with our work, with the world in a much more expressed, empowered, and free way.
Okay, so you're saying the word empower, and that's actually my next question. Okay, so the question is how do you empower individuals to take control of their own transformation process?
You just got to make the decision, because everything starts with a decision, to do the work so that you can be free.
Okay.
Most people are so stuck in being miserable, victim consciousness, complainers, blamers, etc. It's easier, right, Lisa? It's like diving in and doing the work. But I truly believe as souls, we're here to grow and evolve. We're not here to stay stuck or stay limited.
Yeah.
And by doing the deep inner work, we empower ourselves because we're no longer controlled by our conditioning, by the negative beliefs about ourselves that we formed as kids, by the limiting ideas that we have about the world or what we deserve to receive or experience. And we start to just shed that, which then enables us to become more of ourselves without all of the limitations that were placed on us by society or that were the misinterpretations of our past. And so you can choose to stay stuck, or you can make the decision to do the work to heal, to evolve, and to truly feel empowered. Because a lot of people in this world don't feel empowered. They feel like they got the lot, this is their lot in life, and they just have to deal with it. It's actually not true.
Yeah. Well, that's important too, just what you're saying. So determining, self-worth and confidence. And so how important is that for me to understand that I'm valuable or that I do have worth, regardless of what my family has said about me or the actions that I took that people may criticize, or all of that stuff that makes us, we get to that point of feeling like we're not worthy, we're not good enough, we're just mess ups. I'm small, I have to do what everybody else says, they don't approve of me, so I'm this horrible person. So how important is that self-confidence and that self-worth for us to be able to move through this?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's an individual answer, right? Everyone's going to have what that means for themselves to have that. But I think that that's what most people are striving for,
Okay.
is to feel, is to feel confident and to feel more free instead of locked in with all these limitations. Because most people, when they want something, right, the first thing they do is go to strategy. Okay, how do I achieve my goal? Maybe I just need to do this more or that more. They're looking for the external strategy to figure out what it is. But when you have an internal blueprint of unworthy to receive or undeserving of what you want, it's not safe to have that, right? Or what's familiar is just that you feel unworthy and undeserving. Well, it doesn't matter how much strategy you implement. You only play at the level of your beliefs and identity. So if your identity is unworthy person, unlovable person, not enough person, insecure person, that's the results you're going to get no matter how hard you try to outwork to get to that goal. Or if you hit it, all of a sudden you do all these sabotaging behaviors to bring yourself back down to the level of your identity or your beliefs. So if you are the type of person, right, who wants to actually achieve the things that you want in this lifetime, or to have or to feel a certain way, well, then I think removing those feelings of unworthiness and undeserving is extraordinarily important, because that's what's going to keep you stuck. You can't outwork or outperform or outplay your belief systems about what you feel, about you. So.
Well, and this may be a repeat, but I think it's really important what you're saying, because I think that it's really important for each one of us to see that love light that's in us, to see the worthiness that we are, regardless of what my perception is or what other people's perceptions are. And I feel like people don't know that they can feel okay about themselves, because I also think that this is part of societal conditioning. If I'm happy with myself and I feel like I've actually succeeded in what I set myself to be, then I'm in my ego. I think I'm better than other people. And there's something about this thing of that if we believe that we're good, if we believe that we're successful, then we're too egoic.
So I would say that that's an interpretation, right? There's many interpretations of what it means to feel happy or to feel secure in yourself. I think that there's times when I look at someone who's ultra secure and confident, I'm like, wow, And then there's going to be people who are like, ooh, that's fake. Those are all interpretations. You get to choose if you want to have an interpretation where you feel free and empowered or where you feel limited and stuck. That's really your choice again, right? Like our work is never about forcing somebody out of believing something, but that is an interpretation of what it means to be confident or to feel whole within yourself. But I think there's also a healthy, unhealthy about it. If you're overly happy and you push it on people or make them feel bad, well, that's probably when people go, see, you're in your ego. But if you're also whole and confident, but you're humble and you're generous with who you are and loving and not braggadocious about it, I think people actually really admire that and want to strive to be like that. Mm-hmm. So, even saying being happy means you're in your ego or whatever, that was that you said. Again, that's an interpretation that you could choose to believe and hold yourself back or transcend it and actually be the happy person too. Mm-hmm. You get to decide how you want to feel in this lifetime, and deciding how you want to feel determines whether you're willing to do the work or not. You can stay stuck. There's nothing wrong with that. Like we talk about the different levels of consciousness, and I know, with, oh my gosh, what's called Ken Wilber with his different levels of people. Some people will stay in the red for a long time and other people will transcend, up higher levels of consciousness. There's nothing right or wrong about it, but it's a choice of where you want to be.
Yeah. And I think that how you think about it is that we do have that choice. We have the choice of staying stuck. And a lot of people are really happy with feeling fear and anger and like to be in the chaos because that's what they're used to. But if you're don't want to do that anymore, if you do get to that point of, I don't want to live like this anymore, I'm tired of feeling bad about myself and staying in the chaos all the time, mm-hmm. then you have a couple of different options in the programs that you provide. So not only is it for people that are looking for the change, but you also have a teaching program as well. Yep. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
So we have 2 tracks. If you're someone who works professionally with folks with their mental health, so a coach, a therapist, some sort of healer, wellness practitioner, etc., we do have a practitioner track where you can learn these tools and use them on yourselves and your clients. And all the tools we teach, you can learn it, you can use it on yourself, someone else, and you can facilitate entire groups with great success. I've spoken on stage to 600, 700, and 800 people, and folks come up to me going, what did you just do? That's crazy. And it's because the tools work. It's not me, it's the protocols. And so we have that for the coach track, but we also have them for what we call self-mastery, non-coaches, where you're somebody who's like, you know what? I just want to feel better. I don't want to feel constantly angry or in fear or hurt all the time, or I want to feel more empowered or confident. You can actually learn our tools for yourself as well. And so those are the 2 tracks that we offer. And if somebody wants to get started, we actually have an intro training where you could just get one tool. And that one tool, you can learn it on yourself or somebody else. That's what it teaches. So you can kind of get a handle on how it feels and to see if it's something that works for you. But those are the 2 tracks that we teach, because we're not about being the one to help you. We're not, what's the word? We don't fish for you. We teach you how to fish. And I think that that's more about empowerment, so you can help yourself at any time and even have the ability to help another if you choose to.
Okay, so if I wanted to have a session with somebody, mm-hmm. do like what I did with mm-hmm. you, how do I schedule a session? Am I able to schedule a session with somebody to help guide me through this?
Yeah, so we have a sister company. It's called Unbound. If you go to unbound-now.com, you can schedule a session. That's our platform where people can come and work with our certified coaches. And then Rapid Rewire Method, that's where you actually get trained in the tools. So if you're like, don't want to get trained, but I really want to get processed, go to unbound-now.com. And then if you're like, you know what, I really want to learn them for myself, you can, go through our trainings in Rapid Rewire Method.
Okay. And I'll have you give us some more information when we wrap up. One of the other questions that I want to throw in here really quick is that the people that are really kind of hesitant, like we talked about, like I kind of like who I am, so I'm good. But there's also people that recognized that there is some trauma stuff. Maybe somebody was raped, or something that was serious, or just like you going through a miscarriage, but they're not sure that they want to go back and face that anymore. So how do you handle people that are a little bit hesitant or fearful of going back and really looking at what they don't want to face what happened to them?
Yeah. So look, our work, we're not about force. It's an invitation. When you feel ready to actually dive in and do the work, then we're available for that. And so there has to be a willingness for somebody. The neat thing about if what you mentioned was probably more of like the discrete traumas, right? I can name the time, location, place, the players involved. It's a big T trauma versus maybe misinterpretations of the past, like just limitations. Yeah. We have specific tools for that. That's the one that the university study is being done on with firefighters. Right. But really all it requires of you, the trauma integration, is for you to just be able to access that experience for maybe 3 seconds, and then the process starts and you don't even have to feel it anymore. So it's very different from, like, say, exposure therapy, where you're like forced to be with the trigger, and then they're just showing you breathing patterns and how to calm your nervous system. Like, oh my gosh, it's almost traumatizing in itself to redo that.
Yeah.
Ours is just, for my miscarriage, it was just, hey, okay, bring up the miscarriage. And then within 2 seconds was like, great, stop it. Is it a movie or a screenshot? It's a screenshot. Okay, great. Just what do you see in the picture? So you're not even feeling the emotions anymore. That's all I had to do. So me bringing up the miscarriage was probably a 10-second process. And then I didn't have to stay there anymore. So it's a lot easier, less triggering, and you don't have to relive it. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what we do, is it's not about reliving it. It's like, how are you experiencing it right now? If you were to bring it up, we're not trying to force you to go all the way back there. Mm-hmm. See it scene by scene, any of that stuff. It's really just bring it up, cool, snapshot it, and then we work with the snapshot. And then by the end of that, people are like, I can't feel that pain anymore. I can't feel the anxiousness, or I can't feel, for me, the grief. It and the whole entire process is cleaning all the emotional content up.
Perfect. Okay, so is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to share before we jump off of this call?
No, just, I know last year, we're recording right now, it's January 5th, 2026. We're finishing up the year of the snake right now in the Chinese astrology, which is about shedding. And then come February, when the lunar calendar changes, it's about the horse momentum moving forward. So, my invitation is just, if you're feeling the pull, do the work, clean up the baggage so that you can fly forward in a more effective way to achieve and have the things that you truly desire in this world, even just your way of being, in the way that you move through the world. So just, if you're feeling a little whisper, do it, jump in. But outside of that, I just want to thank you, Lisa, for having me on the show. This has been really wonderful to connect with you and to share. So
thank you. But I'd love that message, because I think 2025 was the transformative year. And those of you guys that understand the year of the snake, it's the shedding off, bringing in the new. And I love, let's get on the horse and run. Let's
go. Let's go.
Yeah. So if people want to learn more about what you do, what this process is, and they want to maybe schedule a session or something with someone, how do they contact you?
Yeah. So if you go to rapidrewiremethod.com, if you want it, we have a freebie you could download too, to have a quick demo. Or if you are like, and then you can learn more about our trainings there. But if you're somebody who's like, no, I really want to work with a coach right now, go to unbound-now.com and you can schedule a session with one of our certified coaches.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Stephanie, for being here. And for you guys, man, do the work.
Do the work. It's worth it in the end.
Yeah. You hear us saying it all the time. And again, boy, just do it. It's totally worth it. Also, you will see Stephanie's website and the information that she just provided in the video description. You just have to scroll down the video description, and at the bottom, you'll see the links to her websites. So thank you guys for joining us. And Stephanie, thank you. We'll see you guys next time.